Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into executive recruiting in sports. My guest today is Rick Alessandri. He is the Managing Director for Turnkey ZRG. And welcome to the show.
Thanks, Anthony. Great to be here.
Yeah, so usually I start my guests where you went to college. So where'd you go to school?
I went to Fordham University in the Bronx from 1980 to 1984.
Oh. So let's just go back in time a little. Let's go into high school. When did you start thinking about going to college? Was it freshman year of high school, senior year? When did it all begin for you?
My family, we didn't have many people who went to college. My Uncle Ralph was one of the only ones that went to college, and he went to Fordham. So that was one of the only universities that I grew up really knowing about. And ever since I was in junior high school, I was focused on Fordham University, Fordham Law. That was the goal. So when I was a senior, it was one of probably 4 schools that I applied to. I got in, and I made the journey to Fordham in the Bronx.
Wow. So you didn't have any of the schools that you went to go look at or anything like that?
I went to look at Iona. I went to look at Pace. I was pretty determined to be a commuter. I was working a full-time job in high school. I liked where I lived in Yonkers, New York, and I didn't aspire to have the big college experience, so I tried to stay local.
Wow. So did your mom and dad get involved? How did it all work to pick Fordham?
Not much.
Really?
No. I mean, they helped maybe a little bit with the application process. Really, my guidance counselor was an influence and helped me go through the process. But once I determined that Fordham was, once I got accepted, then it was really on me to, go through and register and do all the things that I needed to do to start in the fall of 1980.
So now you get to Fordham. What's it like? What did you think of the school?
I loved it. It was a little oasis in the Bronx. It's right across from the Botanical Gardens, walking distance from Arthur Avenue. As an Italian kid from Yonkers and Mount Vernon, Arthur Avenue was kind of the place to go for the best Italian restaurants. So it was all within that close proximity, and it was probably 20 minutes from my house in Yonkers. So it was a great commuting school for me, and it still allowed me to work a significant amount of hours during school. Now
you had a lot of people that actually became big-time announcers from the school, right?
We did.
Michael Kay, Michael Breen.
We did. John Giannone. We've had our share of great communicators, great communications majors. We also Vince Lombardi, obviously, was one of the first. Vince Scully, obviously. So yeah, it was a school that churned out a lot of great sports broadcasters. That was never in the cards for me to begin with. Again, early on, my freshman year, I was focused on trying to be pre-law, and it wasn't until my sophomore year where that started to change direction.
Wow. So now you go from, you're at Fordham, you go there. How does one go from graduating Fordham to becoming a managing director at Turnkey?
It's been an interesting 30-plus years. My sophomore year at Fordham, I started working for a small sports data company called Sports Ticker. That company hired me full-time 3 months after starting, and it eventually led to a career in sports. I kind of abandoned the lawyer angle and got very interested in first being a sports reporter locally, covering all the New York sports teams, and then ultimately running the business of Sports Ticker until we sold it to both Telerate, then to Dow Jones, and then ultimately we sold it in 1994 to ESPN. And that continued my career in sports until about 2011. In 2011, after running the X Games for ESPN, I left and joined Univision and ran a corporate business development team there, the largest Hispanic media company in the U.S. Spent a wonderful 7 years building amazing programs for Hispanic consumers, from a Univision Farmacia discount healthcare program to the first telehealth service to prepaid cards. And then in 2018, when that world started to implode a bit and I found myself looking for work, I reached out to a recruiter who I knew, Len Perner, who was the chairman and founder of Turnkey Search. And after having lunch with Len, he was pitching me on potentially joining him to start a media practice. It was fortuitous at the time. I said, why not? Let me try this. I've never tried it before. Didn't think of this as a potential kind of last stop in my career. And it's been an amazing 3 years.
Wow. So now, what does Turnkey ZRG actually do?
So Turnkey Search has actually been around for 25 years. We are the preeminent sports search, executive search company. We have done hundreds, almost thousands of searches in the sports media, sports technology, the sports ranks, professional sports teams, college teams. And we recruit senior level executives. But at the same time, we are very focused on understanding and identifying young talent. So our search goes from the C-suite all the way down to director and senior manager level. Everything from ticket sellers to sponsorship people to chief marketing officers, CEOs, CFOs, chief legal officers, really the who's who in sports media and sports technology and professional and collegiate sports.
So now, what type of executive does Turnkey look for? I mean, what are you looking for in that executive?
First and foremost, we have to understand what our client wants in an executive, in a hire. Understanding what the culture is at that organization, understanding and writing the job spec for the job, and then ultimately it's then going out and tapping into our network of tens of thousands of people who we know in this industry, people who we trust. We then try to match, and I think do a very good job of matching the right culture fit, the right skills and expertise with the right company. So it could be soft skills that are more important for some roles. Obviously, technical skills are clearly important for key jobs as well.
Yeah.
You need technical skills for a chief legal officer or for a chief marketing officer, but you need a track record of success. And we do a good job of sourcing candidates. We do a good job of making sure that the reference checks are strong and that these are candidates that really can excel in the next role. So culture fit is a really important piece to this, because when you don't put the right candidate into the right culture that fits he or she, it's not going to work. No matter how skilled that individual is, if the cultures aren't aligned, it usually doesn't work.
Wow. So in the 3 years, how many people have you placed, and what have you found as a key to actually sustaining those positions in those areas? For
me, it's been about learning and educating myself. I think one of the things that I've always prided myself on is to always be inquisitive and curious and learn new things. And I came into this, yes, having hired hundreds of people over my career, having had to terminate employees over the years. So understanding that dynamic is important, but now you're working for someone. So you need to really dig into and understand, what is going to be the right fit for an organization. So for me, it's been about really taking the time to educate myself, to building out my network even deeper, and then working with our clients to understand what their needs are. And then once I understand what their needs are, I can do a better job as a recruiter to identify the right talent and the right fit for that organization. And we've had Turnkey overall has had a really good track record. I think in the 3 years that I've been there, I've had a pretty good track record of placing really good executives in the right organizations, and the roles have worked out. So yeah, I'm really pleased with what we've been able to do over the 3 years that I've been there.
So now, the type of experience, could they be a 1-year experience, or could they have to be 15, 20 years in a particular position?
We don't do many entry-level roles. That's not really where our focus is at, because again, as an executive search firm, we're a retained search firm. So a client will pay us, the first year, the third of a fee structure, right? A fee structure for what our fee will be. So they're going to make an investment in us to identify the right talent. With entry-level positions, you really don't need to identify. There are plenty of great candidates out there graduating every year. There's a strong job market today. So for us, it's about identifying the top players in these respective lines of business and categories. So the top sponsorship salespeople, the top chief legal officers, the top marketing executives, the top C-suite executives, and then placing those executives. So that's what's key. So experience is definitely one of the factors in terms of years of experience.
Yeah.
But it's about a lot of the other things as well. It's about their ability to be an empathic leader, to be a strategic thinker, to be innovative, to not just go with the status quo. It's really challenging up or challenging the status quo. So we're really looking for a broad swath of criteria to place the right executive in the right role.
So now you said that you handle a lot of different sports. Do you go outside the sports realm of just the major sports like football, basketball, ice hockey, baseball? Is it there other sports that you're dealing with, or is it everything that you deal with?
We deal with everything. For instance, I worked on the commissioner of Major League Rugby, George Killebrew, who was an executive with the Dallas Mavericks. We placed George 2 years ago there. We've worked with ticketing organizations like Legends. We've worked with companies like Elevate. We've worked with professional sports teams, collegiate teams for their athletic directors, or college basketball or college football coaches. So it really runs the gamut. I placed, our company and I were lucky to place the CEO and CFO of a company called C360, which is the entity that does the pylon cam. Yeah, and you're seeing more and more use of that technology. That's just one of their technologies. They have a really broad array of new technological platforms to create this immersive, media that people want to see better angles, get inside the game. And you saw a lot of that yesterday with a lot of these games in the NFL, leveraging the pylon cam to show unique angles. And Howard Wright, who's the CEO, and James Jones, who's the CFO, are doing a great job of bringing that company to the next level. So it really is a broad array of sports-related companies as well.
So you use all of your experience from all the different sports positions that you had to find all of these different companies. You're just making phone calls to these people that are friends of yours, or have you networked with these people? Is that how you find all of these?
Yeah, I mean, it pays to have 35 years of experience and be able to leverage that. There's no question that the folks, the guys and the women that I grew up with in this industry are now in senior level positions across the industry. At both ESPN and at Univision, I also was very involved in our younger talent and helping to mentor and groom them and identifying great young talent. And Turnkey has done a terrific job of working with Sports Business Journal on 40 Under 40 or Voices Under 30 in identifying some of the best young talent coming up in the sports media and sports world. Yeah. So it's, yes, leveraging your existing network, but also continuing to rebuild that network and get younger and identifying new people as well.
So now because it's Secrets of College Planning, let's get into college. The type of students, are they sports management type kids that are coming out and wanting to go into these things, or do you find other areas of majors that people are going into and then they call you up and say, hey Rick, I want to get into some sports company of some sort?
I think it starts with passion. You can be an economics major but have a passion for sports and find a role that you can leverage your economics degree in a sports-related industry. So yes, there are many sports management candidates, executives who have come through great programs that we wind up placing. University of Michigan, where our founder went, happens to be a really great breeding ground for sports management executives. But at the end of the day, those individuals who have a passion for sports and the business of sports are the ones that find their way to us and the ones that seem to do well in this type of recruiting environment. So, if you don't have a passion for sports, it's not likely you're going to want to work at the NFL or you're going to want to work at a professional sports team. So finding that is key to begin with.
Because what are some of the entry-level type positions in the sports world? Is it mostly like ticket sales type of people? Yeah,
I think getting your chops and experience on the revenue side of a sports team, if you want to go to the professional sports team, is important. So whether it's at minor league baseball, where you might be the ticket seller, but you may also be putting up the signage in the outfield, and you may be doing guest services. You're going to be doing 5 jobs probably. But what that minor league team will teach you is all of those different jobs. Right. And maybe you don't like 3 of them, so you focus now on the 2 that you do like. So I think, yes, entry-level positions in ticket sales, seeing that someone has the perseverance, the determination, the work ethic, the motor to keep churning away and pushing forward is critical. It shows you what someone's makeup is. And I think that bodes well for future employment.
So, and that's just the sports teams. You said you did outside the sports teams as well. So do you see, what are some of the entry levels in in different type of companies, like startup companies and things of that sort? What type of positions would they find there?
You can find junior marketing roles, data entry. I mean, there are lots of different I mean, again, if you're looking at a startup environment, startups have, again, every person is doing 3 or 4 jobs. So it's all about, especially early in your career, wanting to put in the effort, wanting to put in that 18-hour day if that's what it's called for at a startup environment.
Yeah.
And we worked with startups before. Again, it's a very different breed of individual. That's why I talked earlier about culture. If you want to work in a big company culture and you try to go to a startup environment, it's probably not going to work because it's a very different dynamic. It's a very different skill set and work ethic. That said, again, going back to like sports media, trying to get your foot in the door at an ESPN or a Fox Sports or NBC, always is about just getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Be less concerned about the role and just get inside the organization, and then use that time inside the organization to learn about where your next opportunity could come from.
Now, those type of companies, the avenues for the college student would be like an internship, right? So how early does an internship at an ESPN or something like that, do they look for? Do they take freshmen in college? Or
internships have gotten extremely competitive. One of the things that I loved about Fordham was it had a really good network for internships. And my first internship was with MTV in 1983 when MTV was starting. So I had the chance to work at MTV with the communications department and learn what a big organization did in the communications role, which is one of the areas that I was focused on. Getting into internship programs today is much more competitive. So what I encourage many seniors or even high school seniors as well as college freshmen and sophomores is to put a lot of feelers out there. Try to get into the best ones. Try to get into ones that you think are unattainable. Keep pushing forward. I wish I had the resources, or we wish that we had the resources that LinkedIn provides today for college students and high school students. It makes you 1 click or 2 clicks away from a senior level executive.
Yeah.
So if you could find a way to leverage that network in LinkedIn, build out your network even before you arrive on college campus, connect with an executive based upon either personal interest or where you're going to school, an alumni network. Using LinkedIn is critical and can help open the path for an internship at some point down the road. Yeah,
that's a big thing these days is LinkedIn. And that's a thing about networking, like you said. Do you find a lot of colleges with a lot of networking events? They create a lot of networking events, being that you were in ESPN and Sports Ticker and Univision. Did you ever go to those type of events and see any of that going on?
I didn't when I was in school. I was head down, working 2 full-time jobs and going to school for 20 hours a week. I had a very non-college-like experience. It was literally like a third job. 20 hours a week I would go, do my classes, pass my tests, graduate, and then work full-time. So it was a very different experience for me personally. But today, it is all about networking. It's about relationships. It's about building those relationships, authentic relationships, genuine relationships. Yeah. But you have tools today that can allow you to do that much more effectively and efficiently than we had. I think the thing that I was able to do in my career was build those relationships so that they are strong today. And that's something that I hold dear to me, is those strong bonds.
Now today also there's a lot of diversity in business. Are you finding that with placing people, there's a lot of diversity going on?
There's no question. Diversity is good business. Bringing diverse thought, bringing diverse candidates, bringing diverse ideas is critical to the success of a business today. So yes, our clients absolutely stress that. We are one of the only search firms, the only one I could think of, quite frankly, that has a full-time DEI person who's focused on making sure that all of our candidate slates are reflective of society and have a diverse offering. We just named a new president, Zing Shaw, who was the former chief diversity officer at the NFL. Wow. And at the NBA, and has done a great job in just a short order of continuing to help us build out our reach within the communities, whether it's communities of color or female. We want to continue to find the right candidates. and our organizations that we work for are absolutely pressing us. But at the same time, those that aren't pressing us that hard, we're pressing them because we know that it actually translated into better business results.
Now, how do people find you? How do they look up Rick Alessandri? How do they get in contact? Executives as well as maybe some college students.
They find us. I mean, you know, our website, turnkeyzrg.com. We post almost every single one of the jobs that we're working on because, again, we believe in that transparency. If you don't tell people about job opportunities, you're going to work within the same community that you know and you're comfortable in, right? So unless you open it up to the broad array of candidates out there, you're never going to find those diverse candidates. We work hard to find those diverse candidates in specific groups and organizations, but at the same time, we want to make sure that everyone has an access to it and can apply for a role. So we work closely with our clients to make sure that we promote those across our social media channels on LinkedIn. I accept all LinkedIn requests. If I don't know you, send me a note though. I just don't like blank, cold, LinkedIn requests. Tell me why you want to connect. Are you looking for something? Do you just want to build your network? Is there a particular role that you're interested in? I still continue to mentor, and speak to a lot of young interns and young talent across the industry. I enjoy that. I'm at a point in my career where I think that can make a difference to the next executives coming up.
Yeah, so these people just contacting you without any kind of note doesn't help you because you don't know who they are and why they're contacting you. But LinkedIn does give you that note area where you can write something. A good thing to do is if you're a Fordham grad, something to connect with, right? Or
learn, actually read my profile.
Yeah.
Read my profile, understand where I went to school or what my first job was or what I did as, if you understand that and connect with me personally, I'm going to remember you than the other 10 candidates who might have just said, I just like to connect. So if you can connect and then follow up, you have to be persistent. Not annoying, but persistent. There's a balance there.
Yeah.
But you've got to be proactive.
Yeah, so the students that are trying to build their network of people, is there anything where they can go to? Is there events that Turnkey does where they bring in any type of executives or any sort of thing like that?
We do a variety of panel sessions. We have a newsletter that you should subscribe to. You'll see it on our website. The newsletter, again, posts all our job listings, but it also has particular topics each month that we each write about. But we do initiatives like the Pro Sports Assembly webinars. We work with Steve Ross's Ross Initiative for Sports Equality. We've worked with a variety of organizations, Sports Business Journal on a host of different events. Like I said, 40 Under 40, Voices Under 30. So I would encourage you to, again, start with your local community, your college, your high school, start to build out that network. I spoke to a kid last week who is looking for his next opportunity, and I said, listen, if you're looking for a job full-time, work your LinkedIn profile full-time too. Every day, try to connect with 5 new people. 5 real connections, not just, I want to collect here, here, here. 5 connections. Try to make connections with people that, again, let me remember who you are.
Yeah, only because it's easier for somebody to know of you if you're actually actively out there talking to people.
Listen, I want to help everybody. It is a robust job market right now. We are busier than we've ever been. Our parent company, ZRG, has given us additional resources to continue to grow. We just bought a firm, Tom Truitt, out of Nashville, that's in the music industry. So we've expanded our purview into music, whether it's tickets, venues. So that's expanded. We continue to expand in sports sponsorship, sports technology, sports media. We're working with a sister company, Susherman, which focuses on the media side of the equation. So they've worked with companies like Univision and Yahoo and Verizon and a bunch of others. So we have a lot of robust jobs available.
Yeah.
We have closed probably 70 jobs this year, and we're on target to more than double the number we've done in the best year of our firm's existence. So it's a robust market. You need to be out there. You need to be aggressive. You need to be proactive.
And where are these executives finding you? Are they people that are already, I'm assuming they're working somewhere, and then all of a sudden don't like their job anymore or just want to get something better?
Some find us, others we find. I mean, when I was at ESPN, I never, until like the last year I was there, I never took a call from a recruiter. I was always happy in my role. A recruiter would call about a job. I'm like, no thanks, I'm not interested. What I encourage everyone to do today is always take the call. I was wrong for not taking a call. I should have listened. I should have built a network with recruiters. So when my time came to leave ESPN, I was lucky enough where there was a call that I took in January of 2011 that led me to the Univision role. But had I not taken that call, I wouldn't have been in a position to move to Univision and spend an amazing 7 years there. So I encourage all executives, even if you are incredibly happy, there is nothing wrong in listening to a recruiter and building out your network.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of our show. And usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to students, parents, anyone that's watching the show? What advice do you want to give them?
I think the best advice I could give, at least that's worked for me in my career, and I've had a blessed career and a lot of great relationships, is to be curious. Learn as much as you can. Become a subject matter on something, but be curious about a lot of different things. Be proactive, be aggressive, and again, leverage the tools and the resources you have available to you, including your parents' networks. Don't be embarrassed to actually ask your mom or dad or uncle to make a connection for you. Nothing's going to get handed to you, but at least you could start to build out your own relationship. So embrace that. I know some kids are a little bit stubborn. They want to do it on their own, and I understand that. Believe me, I'm a stubborn Italian, and I was that way. But I would encourage you all to just, take some advice, do it on your own, but be open to new relationships and new introductions.
Great. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.